This episode is going to be a little corny. Welcome back to Shorebilly Farmer. I'm in the cornfield right by the house. As a matter of fact, there's the barn right there, okay? I chose this spot because, one, this is primarily sand up here. There's really not a whole lot of organic matter in this spot. So the corn is going to be, what we're looking at, is going to be about the worst looking corn that we have. And I gotta tell you, if this is the worst looking stuff we got, we're gonna be okay. I think we'll be okay here. As you can see, we've got a lot of two ears to a stalk kind of situations. However, we also have a lot of skips from the planter. So that was what we just saw, was a skip area. But there are some plants that are together that have two ears. I'm not finding any right here. There's one. Now this little ear here will probably not make anything. You got a nice big healthy ear. This one, not so much. And what that tells me is maybe we need to bump up our population yet a little bit higher, because there was so much available nutrients up here that it still wanted to produce another ear. We're gonna head back. By the way, I don't know if you could tell, the corn really wasn't all that tall. It's about 8 foot there. But the further I head down, I mean, look how tall our corn is back here, somewhere around that 10 foot or so. But we're heading back into the heavier ground that's behind the house here. So let me get back there and I'll rejoin you, because I'm pretty sure you don't want to see me cry as I walk through here and get paper cuts. Okay, we're just, I don't know, maybe 100 yards further back than what we just were. Now this has the possibility of producing an ear. Maybe, maybe not. I'm not sure. I don't know why it wouldn't have, because it certainly has enough nutrients. Got a nice size ear here, and we've had plenty of moisture. Now we are starting to need some moisture again, but there is moisture down there. Yeah, I'm not sure why these wouldn't have filled out. I don't know what it would take, honestly, to fill those out. They are ears, they are there. Now let's go up here, take a random ear. I want a good representation. What we call a representative ear. Here, this is good, right here. Boom. All right. No, I'm getting the pollen on me. All right, I'm gonna head back up to the barn and we'll shuck this ear and count some kernels and root. So for those of you that are wondering what we're doing, today I'm just kind of running around and taking a look at our crops. There's not a whole lot left to do, a little bit of spraying left to do on some soybeans, but we want to wait as long as we can to do that so we don't have to spray one more time. If you spray too early, then the beans don't canopy the ground enough. Primarily our wheat beans, the beans we planted behind the wheat, double crops. They won't canopy over and you get a chance for weeds to come back in a second time. We were in this field over here. I'm gonna walk into this one over here, grab another ear, we'll average them out, just get an idea, see what we're dealing with. This helps us determine really how much we want to contract ahead of time. Now contracting, for those of you that don't know, contracting is where I basically promise to give the mill X amount of bushels, and they're gonna give me a price, a premium price, if you will, higher than the market value, because they don't know what the market's gonna do. Our markets have been really good here lately, going up, 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 which is good for us, helps our bottom line. You just gotta be smart enough to capture that. And honestly, I'm not a marketer, so I play the laws of averages. I start taking 1,000 bushel contracts or 2,000 bushel contracts throughout the whole year, you know, spread every couple of weeks apart. You know, I watch it daily, and when it goes up on that day, I hit it and sell the contract. And I've got contracts ranging from last fall, I had a small contract of 1,000 bushels at 440. And then throughout this spring, I've got contracts for like 530, 580, 620, 640, 650. So by the time you average it all out, I'm somewhere in the upper fives. And hopefully that'll get up to that average of $6 a bushel by the time we get to harvest, because I'm still doing contracts as we go. And just an update on my wife's orchard. Our trees are making apples. Looks delicious. And our peaches, they did fair. The bugs, even after spraying for bugs, we still had bug issues. But let's see here. Oh, it's actually not that bad. That's pretty ripe. I feel like the old lady at the supermarket, just grabbing everything and squeezing it and bruising it. Yeah, see, that one's got a rot spot in it. This one up here's got a rotten spot from bugs. Yeah, see, they just eat right into it. So that's no good. This one feels good though. I actually might pick that one. Look at that. Oh, that is gorgeous. I might just have to let the wife do all the farming from now on. I should have let it stay on there a little longer, but still got good flavor. The stuff we spray for bugs is called 7 Dust. We have had, it doesn't stick around very well after rains. And we've had I don't know, 4 or 5 heavy rains since I coated this. So, at this point, it's just a little seasoning. If I start growing a 3rd eyeball, I'll call 7 Dust. She's got a green thumb. Her and her parents, they're the ones that do most of that stuff. Like I say, I put my crops in a straight row. That's about it. That's all of our sweet corn. If you remember, we planted the sweet corn way back. That's all the sweet corn there. It got damaged. We had a really bad storm with some really high wind. Matter of fact, we were coming home from camping when we ran through the storm. But it blew some of the sweet corn over, but 95% of it survived. All right, let's see what we got. Now keep in mind, the ears are still making. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 15, 16 round. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, 36, 37, 38. 38 long, 16 by 38. And I'll tell you what that means here in a second. And why it's important what we're doing. So, when I say that ear was 16 by 38, what I mean is, if I were to count the rows, see how the corn makes perfectly straight rows? If I were to count those rows round, I would come up with 16. This feels like a 16 too. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. And then when I say 40, it's how many kernels long from the bottom to the tip. So roughly 41. As you can see, the corn hasn't made out yet all the way to the tip. Some of that is because the corn is still filling out, and some of that is what they call tip back. We've had some extremely hot temperatures while the corn was pollinating, and that does affect the pollination of the kernel up here. This silk that you see here, every single one of these kernels has a silk attached to it, and that silk comes out the top. And what happens is, you can see, if you look really close on the kernel, you can see what looks like a little nipple. That's where the silk was attached. So what, hey, come here. So what happens, and we'll count that up again here in a minute, but I just wanted to explain how a corn plant works. So what happens is, this tassel comes out at the top of the corn, right here. This tassel is the pollen, okay? And what happens is, just through wind and just natural gravity taking place, the pollen, as you can see, comes off of it and drops, and it comes down here and hits this silk. So this silk, again, as you just saw, was attached to a kernel, every single one of these strands of silk. That pollen pollinates the silk, goes down and actually will pollinate the kernel and cause it to activate, and then the plant begins to pack water into that kernel to make a viable seed. So that's how a corn plant, in a roundabout way, works. It is what I would call a hermaphrodite, meaning it pollinates itself. It has both male and female reproductive organs. You've got the seed, or the pollen, which would be the male, coming down and hitting the female, which then pollinates the seed. Pretty neat, I think. But what happens, and what farmers deal with a lot of times, especially in this mid-Atlantic region, we get those early tropical storms or hurricanes, like we've already had one. We had one a month ago. Luckily, the corn wasn't as tall, the wind wasn't bad. But right when this corn is tasseling is when the corn is the most susceptible to damage. So before the pollen actually releases, let's just say the tassel came out and is sitting there just getting ready to start releasing, and a bad thunderstorm or a tropical storm were to run through and bust these tassels off. Does that. Now, this isn't going to pollinate. So now you don't have any pollen falling down on your ears, and you have vacant ears. They don't have any viable seeds on them. So when you go to combine it, you'll see a nice healthy plant there. And to passerbyers that don't know anything about corn, they're going to say, "Oh man, that's a good-looking corn crop." Well, the problem is, it's dead ears. There's an ear there that's just a cob, no seed, because it didn't pollinate. So we're lucky that we've gotten through this pollination phase. It was a little hot, which does affect the pollination. Heat, for some reason, the pollen becomes inert, or no good, if you will, before it gets down to the silk, and it's kind of like the sperm have died, if you will. So You don't want to see extreme heat, and we did have quite a few days of extreme heat while I was pollinating. However, just based on the sample years that I just took and what we've seen already, I think we're okay. I'm going to put this into my calculator and just see what we're looking at as far as a yield. We can get, based on the numbers on this corn, 16 round, 38, and 40. So we're going to go 16 with an average of 39, and we figure out 30,000 plants an acre. So this app on my phone, you can look it up anywhere, just corn yield calculator. But it shows that we have 29 plants in 17.5 feet, which represents 1/1000th of an acre. And then we have 16 rows round, 39 kernels per row. That's 624 kernels per ear. That should be our average yield, 201 bushels. And I'll be honest, I'm very encouraged by that, because the sample places that I took off of were the highest spots of the farm, which is going to have the lowest chance of yield. So if we are, even if we make 180 bushels per acre in those spots, I got high hopes for the rest of the farm. So we're looking pretty good on that note. Okay, before we go out and look at soybeans, I figured I'd just catch you guys up on some of the little things we've been doing around here. As you saw in a previous video, which, by the way, I know our videos are behind, and my wife, God bless her, is going as hard as she can to try to get these videos out. I just can't seem to put the camera down. Our pop-up camper that you saw in the previous video is for sale, and hopefully by the time this comes out, it's sold. We got our new camper, or brand used for us. However, when we bought it, we didn't realize, and I don't think the previous owners realized, there was a small leak in a window. And it was really small, but I noticed it because when I started going around and waxing, you know, I cleaned everything up. I noticed there was a little bubble in the fiberglass, and usually that's indicative of delamination, where the fiberglass separates from the wood, the luan that's inside, and it's because of water, because the luan just gives away. It literally breaks apart. So that's what happened. So last night I popped the window out and drilled or cleaned out down inside here and filled it full of epoxy resin. And as you can see, I have it clamped. I've got a tool that almost nobody in the country has. I have a Chevy press jack. See how fancy this is? I mean, you have your Chevy truck with the jack to provide pressure up against the wall. So that's custom. You're not likely to find that anywhere. I might patent it. You know, if you guys want one, throw me a few $100,000. I'll sell you this one. But I'll show you this inside here. So right here is where it was down, and down about a foot is where it was all delaminated. So we put the epoxy all down inside there, clamped it, and here in a couple hours I'll take these clamps off and put the window back in, and hopefully we won't have any more bubble out here. If we do have a bubble, then I'll just, after our next trip and I get it in the shop, I'll probably go a little bit further and actually drill down inside there, go way past the point of where our bubble was, route that all out, and fill it full of epoxy resin. But let's go look at some beans. We'll look at my wheat beans. The long season soybeans are doing really good. They're just about knee high now and looking great. But I'm curious to see how our wheat beans are doing after, one, we've had a tropical storm. Literally the day we got done planting those beans, we had a tropical storm come along and give us 1.25 inches of rain. Chevys. Well, I got you guys for a minute. I want to say thank you all to who have subscribed. I want to say thank you guys that seem to watch every week. Yeah, it keeps giving us the drive to keep doing this. And we like hearing from you. I'm curious, since our base is kind of growing, there seems to be a lot of people here on Delmarva that watch the channel, which is awesome. But I do know we have a couple viewers that are spread throughout the country, and some even out of the country. We've got one guy that watches, I think he's in Madagascar, actually, which I think is really, really cool. Where are you guys from? Drop a line down below and say hi, just let me know the state that you guys are from. It's neat to see who all is actually watching the channel, and it's neat to engage with you guys. But thank you all for watching. I do appreciate it. Well, as you can see, the beans have come up really, really well, even through the wheat straw, as thick as it was in some places. But I was hoping we could hold off on spraying a little bit longer, but I don't think we're going to be able to. I think the weed pressure and the weeds are starting to compete a little too much. Yeah, you can see where the deer have been in here kind of rooting around. It might even be a groundhog or something in here. I would venture to say it's a groundhog, because if you look, the beans are kind of gone right in this area, and that's indicative of a groundhog. They tend to work on one little area. You're going to have that, unfortunately. We never used to have groundhog here. What do you guys call them? Groundhogs? Whistle pigs? There's another name for them. But you can see where they've been nipping. I just heard a deer snort. Somewhere in the woods right here is a deer. He just snorted at me. Deer tracks. Deer tracks. I mean, look, I mean, pretty much all you see here is deer tracks. So this is definitely going to have to be sprayed. This is not wheat. This is grass. And you can't even see where the beans are. But this is also probably the worst spot in this whole farm for deer. We'll see. This variety I planted is a plenish bean, and it is a what they call a group 3-7. So it's a group 3 bean, a late group 3. You know, it's 3-1 through 3-9 would be the whole group 3 series. So it's a late 3-7s. And these beans particularly were touted for how fast they grow, how fast they get up and going. And so far I am impressed. I mean, this has been in the ground for a week and 2 days, and I mean, you see how tall they already are. There is a little something to them getting up and going pretty quick. Enough talky. I'm going to cut off the camera and finish my little walk here. But you get the idea. I mean, the beans are coming along. Now, this was the first field we planted. This is a little, I think it's 3.5 acres back here. Yeah, it's just all in trees. Why it's so hard to grow a crop back here, because the deer are sheltered. They can literally eat all day and night long back here and not have to worry about anybody. But look how much bigger the beans are here. That's the difference that 30 hours makes, is that right there. I think it's incredible. I am encouraged. I'm encouraged by what I'm seeing. I really am. I don't like seeing fields look like this, you know, with grass and all in them, but again, it might be the right thing to do back here. Let the deer graze on something other than the bean for a little bit, until that bean gets tall enough that the deer can't eat the entire bean. This is, let's see what stage we're at here. So you see the leaves have come out in sets of 3. So this would be first trifoliate, and then once these become full leaves, that would be second trifoliate. So we're at, it's not really an official term, but we're at 1.5 trifoliate. Not really quite fully to the second trifoliate yet. There might be some plants out here that are, but I would say by tomorrow we'll be there. I am encouraged. I am. This looks a lot better than I thought it would. Well, we're over here in the wheat stubble now, and I just kind of wanted to show you how well the beans are coming up through the wheat. You can see right down the row, the beans coming in. You don't get every bean out of the ground in wheat straw like you would in conventional. The seed to soil contact is not as good. You get a lot of the pinning, like we talked about before when we were planting, where the bean gets stuck on a piece of straw, and then as the straw dries, it'll actually pop right back out of the ground. So between that and the fact that deer are still eating it here in the straw, that theory did not pan out. Darn it. Anybody know when maritime law applies and when things are abandoned you can just take them? I don't know who left that there, but it's been sitting there a little while. I'm gonna look up the law, Jim. I'm gonna take it. Maritime law. There's amber waves of grain I don't think apply. Nuts. All right, that's gonna do it for us today. We will be cleaning equipment up and getting it put away for the year. That's to come. And for right now, I'm gonna go join the kids in their fun park here. And I know what you're thinking. You're thinking, I'm too big to get on that. Well, guess what? I've already been on that. I've tamed that mountain.
Now you should watch this, everybody.
Yeah, I have monkeys for kids. That's going to do it for us. Thank you all for watching. Goodbye from Delmarva. Shorebilly Farmer at the Shorebilly Water Park. Gone. Out. Bye. See ya. I got high hopes. Staying positive, right? That's all we can do. And they got to eat something too, but I don't know why they can't find stuff to eat in there. Maybe I need guard dogs. That would be cool. Or like a falcon. That's what we need. A giant falcon. Gargoyles. Get some transformers out here. Optimus Prime in the corner. Bumblebee in the back. we're going to work on that. I think we can make something happen. Get in touch with the military. I'm sure I just caused some conservationist or wildlife lover or something to lose their head over that comment, but you know, they're not eating your paycheck. They're eating mine.